Petey. We'll get to you in a second, human. Everybody loves the pets, don't they?
Sure.
This is Petey, and of course the trainer and owner of When Hounds Fly, Andre Yu. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about, come on into the light so we can see you. Tell me a little bit about what you do at When Hounds Fly.
Sure, When Hounds Fly is a positive reinforcement dog training school, and our students, who are people, bring their dogs, both from puppies and new rescues and older dogs, to our school to learn how to train their dog.
I love that. You can get a dog at any age and teach them things that will help them be better socialized around other people, around other dogs, make your life together much more enjoyable, right?
Absolutely. So Petey, as a matter of fact, I only got him when he was 5 years old. So already he was a middle-aged dog when I first got him. And when he first came home, he didn't even know how to sit.
Wow. And I'll tell you something, Beagles are challenging because
That's right.
they live only by one thing. This is the rule, their nose, right?
Absolutely.
And so if there's food anywhere, no matter how microscopic it is, that's all they care about. So to train a dog as challenging as a Beagle, good for you. Look at him. Look how well he's doing. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
What are we going to learn today?
Well, there's two behaviors that I want to show the viewers at home. They are behaviors that we teach in our early puppy classes and our beginners classes, and they are tremendously useful.
Okay.
The first thing that I want to show you is how we can teach a dog to have self-control around food.
Oh boy, tough for Petey.
Which is tough for a Beagle. So, for example, normally if one just took a dog that was laying over there and just dropped a piece of food on the floor.
Well, first of all, he'd be on your hand before,
For sure.
right? He'd be trying to swallow your hand before the food ever hit the floor.
That's right, but he knows that he has to wait to be released for food. So I'm going to show you guys how we would teach a brand new dog how to ignore food that's in your hand.
Okay.
So the way we start is we simply take a treat and hold it in our hand. And at first the dog will sniff it, but as soon as the dog gives up, I click with my clicker and release the food. So what the dog learns is the way they get what they want is to practice self-control.
To back off, and then it comes to me.
Right, so if he were to go for it now, he wouldn't get it. But because he's practicing self-control, he gets it.
And the clicker is what? What does that do?
So the clicker is a dog training tool.
May I see?
Absolutely. The clicker is a dog training tool that helps communicate to the animal exactly when they did it correctly. So for example, I click the exact
So you just
moment
click that button.
I detect a little hesitation in Petey so that he understands I did it correctly and now I'm going to get my reward. Because we can't tell them in English, you are getting the cookie because you stayed put.
And often people say the wrong things. They emphasize the bad behavior accidentally, right?
Absolutely, and our training is really focused about teaching the dogs the behavior we want. So for example, a lot of dogs in this setting would be whining or barking and fussing. And as an embarrassed owner, I may be going to him and saying, Petey, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. But inadvertently, I'd be rewarding him for being
Because you're using
fussy.
that nice tone.
Exactly.
You're saying, oh, it's okay, it's all right. And the dog hears, that's good, keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly, and they're getting attention. Whereas to train a dog to settle on a mat nicely, I've rewarded him in the past for being settled. So that's why he knows how to relax on stage.
Clever, but it's so simple and it makes so much sense. But it's so counterintuitive. Now,
Over
he's
here.
getting off his mat.
Sit.
So
Wait.
is this his place? Is this, he knows this is where he needs to
Right.
be, this mat?
Well, another thing that we do teach dog owners is we do teach dogs how to lie in their bed and settle. So for example, a lot of dog owners complain that their dog bothers them when they're watching television and eating popcorn on the sofa, or bother them at the dinner table. So rather than punish a dog or yell at a dog for being in their business, we teach them that what they should do is lie on their bed and wait and relax. And obviously what I'm going to do is periodically give him a treat for relaxing on the bed so he knows that he's doing the right thing.
Nice. And good things happen to him when he does what he's supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Now, another useful thing you're going to teach us is something called the touch. What is that?
So touch is another basic behavior we teach in our beginners classes, and it teaches a dog to put their nose on your hand. So I'll demo it first. Touch.
And you clicked just as he touched your hand?
Exactly,
Okay.
so you knew exactly what he was being rewarded for.
Okay.
But what is the application for this in the real world? Well, imagine if you had an 80-pound dog and you're just on a narrow sidewalk, say on Queen Street on a busy Sunday, and there's someone with a baby stroller coming by. You want to move your dog just a few feet. Hold on a second. Just move your dog a few feet to the left or right. You can't drag a 60, 70-pound dog, but if they know to put their nose in your hand, I can communicate very clearly, touch. and then the dog moves over to the side. And it's a lot more elegant than hauling on your dog, which really shows that you don't really have any way to communicate
I
with
can
your animal.
imagine if you're at a dog park and the dog is off leash and you want the dog to come to you rather than going, Petey, come. You
sure.
could just say touch and they would know to come to you,
Absolutely.
right?
So a lot of owners will report that their 4-month-old puppy that finished puppy class on the other end of an off-leash dog park, if they say, Bailey, touch, hold on, whoops. I know, good job. The dog will like turn around from play and run back to their owner enthusiastically and just bump their owner's hand with their nose.
You're always competing with those other distractions, the other dogs, the other smells when they're checking their pee mail, food. So you got to be the one that they pay attention to, and that's a great way to do it, no matter what the situation.
Absolutely.
Or you've got a bunch of people over at your house, and you just need to get the dog out of the way, right? Great application. What are some of the common mistakes that pet owners frequently make?
Well, the very first thing is not getting their dog socialized. So a lot of people do get a brand new puppy at 8-9 weeks old, and a lot of old-fashioned advice is to keep the dog sheltered until they've had all their vaccinations. So the very first mistake they make that has nothing to do with clicker training or reward-based training is just keeping the dog in. So
they're not being exposed to the traffic noises and other people and other dogs.
So our classes with puppy socialization begin with dogs as young as 8-9 weeks old, prior to full vaccination in a very safe and controlled environment. So they start getting exposure. That prevents future behavior issues like fear and aggression from occurring. That is the biggest mistake we see.
It's remarkable that first class when they're all together and they're all going like, what is going on? And they're barking and they're nervous and they might be peeing on the floor and it's chaos. That is a miraculous transformation within a couple of classes. They get used to the whole thing, right? It's pretty blasé after that.
Absolutely. If dogs get exposed properly when they're young, it makes them a lot easier to own.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so we've learned the touch. We've learned to reward our dog when they're resisting food. And I can see that would be useful when you're trying to put the food on the floor when it's dinner time, right? You give them the cue before they can before they eat, so they're not jumping all over you. Is there anything else that you can show us within like 90 seconds that might be useful?
Sure.
That's a tough one.
Well, why don't I show you some fun tricks that you can use with touch.
Okay.
So touch is practical, but it also is for fun.
And by the way, you've got 2 locations, right?
That's right.
So people can access you various spots in the
North Toronto and downtown. So
Fantastic.
if the dog knows to put their nose on your hand, I can teach them to leap over things like my legs.
Cool.
Petey, touch. And that's how I like teaching dogs to jump over obstacles. Touch. And the other thing that you can also do is, I'm not gonna use my hand, but I also have taught dogs to jump through things such as my legs using touch. I can put my hand behind my leg and have them jump through like that.
Nice.
And that's another cool trick. So although we start with basic skills that make just owning a dog day to day a lot easier, you can go far with your dog and do all sorts of fun things and maybe get them on television as well.
Well, Petey, you're gonna come back and show us a few tricks at the end of the show, okay? Good job, buddy.
Good job, Petey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we're going to see more of you later on in the show, right? WhenHoundsFly.com for all the details and sign up for your class, and you and the dog can learn together. After the break, we'll talk to the folks from the Brain Injury Society of Toronto about their fundraising event coming up. Aw, Petey, that was